What fool thing is Johnny doing now? Well, here we go. Lee Hacklin, private investigator in movie Star Wars. Chapter 8. Lee, my father. Scott rolled his eyes and crossed his bulky arms. Oh, here we go again. Whenever Harv starts with my father, he stops when the hair of his audience turns gray and their teeth fall out. I poured some grounds into my filter and chuckled, feeling self-conscious as hell about my poor physical state. One slice of pizza is enough, once a week. All things in moderation. I don't need to stop off at Lou's Booze tonight. I can drive by. I can do that. Harv lit a cigar and said, "You know what the difference is between producers and actors, Lee? Shelf life. A star rises, a star falls, and then another star rises. That's a hint, Scotty. If this movie bombs, then I'm throwing in the towel anyway. I prefer writing. 90% of acting is just waiting around. You ride, Mr. Hacklin?" Lee's fine. I ride unicorns in my dreams. How about motorcycles? Dirt bikes? I prefer to use the toilet without needing to use those metal bars. I can teach you if you like. Sounds like fun. I was lying. Was my nose growing? I've always preferred four wheels over two, cars over bicycles. When I was a kid, I totaled one Schwinn after another before giving up on the whole idea of bike riding completely. I was too easily distracted by every pretty girl I espied. Like George the Jungle, I never heeded the sage advice of Stan Worth and George Allman. Watch out for that tree. Too late. Dirty Harry said it best. A man's got to know his limitations. Harvey took a puff of his stogie and continued. My father started All American Studios from the ground up, with his bare hands and a ton of gumption. He produced some of the first chapter plays, to be continued back in 1935. All of them were knockoffs, but nobody sued. Instead of Flash Gordon, he had Lance Laser. Instead of the Shadow, he had the Beacon. Instead of Rocket Man, he had Jetpack Jake and the Teen Jetpack Brigade. I grinned and said, "I used to watch those on Hobo the Clown." Well, they made a killing for Dad. I was an only child, and I was all too happy, unlike most boys, to follow in my father's footsteps. Lee, what do you think of Eric Bauer? Like Scott, he was one of the most famous film actors of that time. Born in Austria, he came to America when he was 19 to become a professional bodybuilder. When he was 20, he won the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, the Mr. Olympia title. It wasn't long before he was starring in one hit movie after another. According to the gossip rags I occasionally indulged in, he and Scott Finney were hardly on speaking terms. They were fierce competitive rivals. I thought Scott had the edge on him. He wasn't just an action hero, he was a writer, too, and a good one. Harvey said, "Lee, we're currently shooting our latest cinematic masterpiece in the Big Apple. It's called For Love of the Stars and Stripes. Scott wrote it. Scotty? It takes place right after Pearl Harbor. It's about a high school dropout who joins the Navy to become a pilot. New York substituting for Washington State. He falls in love with a young woman who works at a printing press. Her father is German and an isolationist. He's threatening to disown her if he doesn't break it off with my hero. It's a love story, but there's a lot of action too." Henry nodded. "Scott's got nothing to worry about, Lee. This is a guaranteed blockbuster if there ever was one. But since we started shooting, Lee, some damn weird things have been happening. Acts of sabotage, really. One of our grips fell off a ladder and nearly broke his neck. His foot went right through the top step. Somebody had sawed through three-quarters of it. One of our stunt drivers was testing a car that Scott was meant to drive and found the brake lines cut. Somebody mailed our leading lady, Wanda Delmont." Scott stuck his finger down his throat. "What a prima donna. She's a method actress. That means she's in character all the time, unless she's complaining, which she does all the time. Her last three movies made huge profits for Fox. We're lucky to have her. You don't have to act with her, Harv. As I was saying, somebody mailed her a dead mouse. A dead mouse. There was a note attached to it. Love, Mickey. That's sick, right? And then yesterday, which is why we're here, this is the straw that broke the camel's back as far as I'm concerned." He pulled out a sheet of paper and then read from it. "Dear Mr. Willis, how's the shoot going? Not so well, is it? You have me to blame for that. Who am I? That would be telling. You can call me Drake. All of these hiccups in your production are just foreplay for what's coming. Pun intended. Your golden boy, Scott Finney, he's going to die. And there's not a damn thing you can do to stop it. I don't care about money and I don't care about fame. I'm doing this for love. Have a nice day. Be seeing you. I said, he likes the prisoner. It's a first draft. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, God loves you. And cheers. Happy Tuesday.